Yaidam paramam guyam mad bhakteshva vidasyati Bhakti mayi param kritva mame vaishyatya samshayaha. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service
Das ist vom Boden.
You can give me one of these new ones. New.
This one?
Because these are better.
As an approaching, excuse me, please, can you tell me please the number of the verse?
No.
And one more time?
No.
No?
You can tell you.
It's Bhagavad.
18.
No.
For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Purport. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad Gita be discussed amongst the devotees only, for those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees only and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. Text 69. Nacha tasman manusheshu kashin me priya kritamaha bhavita nacha me tasmat anya priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So we, in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we have verses from 13 to 20, 13 to 19. This is 7 verses, I think. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 7 verses which actually describe who is dear to Krishna, and this verse describes who is most dear to Krishna. So in order to become most dear to Krishna, one also has to act as a person who is dear to Krishna. That means that one should be aware of the qualities that are described in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And because I don't have my glasses, I want to request one of you to read this 12-13. Only verses, no Sanskrit. 12-13 to 19, I think. Yeah. Only translations. Loud. So the internet people can hear you.
You want to say this page?
Huh?
You want to say 1146?
12.
Yeah, no, it was on 1146. Do you want to say it?
No. 12. 12-13. It's a double verse.
One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Or we can also say these qualities that we are reading here in these verses are also qualities required for a preacher. Okay, next.
He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
More? Next.
My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me.
More?
One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me.
More?
One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me.
And the last is 19.
20.
The last is 20. So you read the 9. Okay, read the 20 also.
Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service, and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Okay, give me back the book. Thank you. So, we have here very nice guidelines. We have very nice guidelines for developing qualities that actually preachers should have, like non-envious, equal in happiness and distress, fame and infamy. There is many verses that describe that he is not affected by the dualities of material nature. So that means he will not stop his service if there is difficulties. He will continue. He will not stop preaching. Of course, if some place is extremely dangerous, then he may leave or something, like life-threatening. If there is life-threatening situation, like in Middle East or some Muslim countries. So now Srila Prabhupada made some statements in the purport of the 1868 that we don't follow. He said it only should be preached to devotees who accept Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada himself didn't follow that. He didn't preach only to people who accept Krishna. He made people accept Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in the beginning they didn't accept Krishna. They just got to know about Krishna consciousness. But also Srila Prabhupada knew that many actually devotees, they have been devotees in previous lives, and now they are continuing. And who knows how many lifetimes Srila Prabhupada is preaching, and who knows where he is preaching now. He is preaching in some other place, maybe in this world or in some other world, wherever Krishna wants him to go. So, but also we don't force people to listen to this philosophy. If they are like heavy speculators or Mayavadis, they're not interested, so we will not force them. But there is always some people who are interested, and there are people who, when they meet Bhagavad Gita, they say, I was looking for something like this for a long time. So there are so many people who need Krishna consciousness, and we have to be available for people to guide them how to read, how to practice, to teach them basic practices. This is our duty, to help people to move forward on the path of Krishna consciousness, especially to accept the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. But Krishna is so pleased if you selflessly and non-enviously give Krishna consciousness to others, that he says that this devotee is most dear to me. Now, I will do the research in what Prabhupada said in relation to this verse. I still didn't have time to do it, but I will do it tomorrow or today or the next day. Nachatasman Manusheshu, and these two verses, so what he said and when he quoted them and in which context and what he said, but he said also sometimes that not only to devotees, but to preach, in general, to preach to everyone. So he said that too. So we need to see what else he said in relation to this verse. But here it is said that one who explains this science to devotees. Also in the verse 70, he says, one who studies this conversation worships me by his intelligence. One who studies this conversation, he worships me with his intelligence. So studying is also worship. Because Krishna's words are no different from him. Meditation on Krishna's words is as good as meditation on Krishna's form. And you have heard of Gita Mahatmya, the glorification of the Gita. There is, Lord Shiva is glorifying the Bhagavad Gita every chapter. For every chapter there is a story. And in the beginning, in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, at the end of the introduction, there is 7 verses quoted from the Gita Mahatmya. You know these verses. So if you want to become very dear to Krishna, then somehow or other try to engage in preaching Krishna consciousness. So does anyone of you want to comment on this verse, on these 2 verses? If needed, I will read them. Actually, I will read them again now. You have a question?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master also, first he was not accepted the Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as of my knowledge. And how we can understand this one?
What? Chaitanya?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, spiritual master, who is
Ishvara Puri.
Ishwar Guru. So at first he was also not accepted as Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead.
He didn't.
After that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained who is Krishna something, then he accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality. Is it correct or?
He explained to his guru. I don't remember that. I don't know. So what is your question? How is it possible?
Yes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached to his spiritual master that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then Krishna himself is preaching to others who is not believe that Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then how we can see this word that we have to preach only the devotees who accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
I'm not sure I understand your question. How these two are related, I don't understand.
In words, Krishna is saying that we have to preach the people or devotees who accepted as Krishna.
Yes.
In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, his spiritual master, first at that time, he didn't accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Is that the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh.
So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached to the Ishwar Puri, and after that he accepted as Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God.
I don't understand this, that we should I don't understand because Srila Prabhupada didn't follow this. Honestly speaking, I don't understand why this is stated here, because he himself preached to people who didn't understand Krishna, accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but then they accepted, many of them accepted after he was preaching to them, so I don't understand exactly. Maybe those who don't want to accept, Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but those who don't know or don't understand, we can actually convince them. Yeah. So those who don't want to accept, I would say. Otherwise it doesn't make sense, because we are preaching to everybody.
You shouldn't preach to demons like
Yeah, people who just don't like to accept this. Yeah. Yes. Demons, Mayavadis, atheists. But sometimes they get converted also. Sometimes some of them are not so heavy, and they, by preaching and by prasadam, they get converted. I mean, they change their mind.
So we see everyone as a devotee covered, undercover devotee.
unsure.
Well, that's Mahabhagavata perception, to see everybody as a devotee. But Madhyamadikari, Mahabhagavata or Uttamadikari, Madhyamadikari makes distinctions between people. He makes distinctions. He sees who is favorable, who is unfavorable, who is accepting, who is not accepting. So he will approach people who are favorable, who are inclined to understand. But there is all kinds of stories, people who, beat devotees and very offensive in the beginning, then become very serious devotees after some time. There is also these kind of stories. So you never know. Therefore we always preach to everyone. Yes?
And I have a question about the preaching, yes? So when we are preaching outside the temple, it says on something like you want to give the interest in to the people that have some of the beliefs in the God, but we want to give them more information, yes? Like so the Krishna consciousness, for example, like the science, not the soul, you can say like that, yeah? But what is some preaching to the devotees? They know this everything already, and they are sure about that, they are chanting. What does it mean as a preaching to devotees?
Oh, when devotees, they don't have great faith. So you have to help them develop faith. Then they have difficulties in their sadhana. Then they have difficulties in relationships. They have difficulties in service. And they don't know everything, so when you preach to devotees, they get to know more things about Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. They get to know more. And preaching means Shravanam Kirtanam. You do Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha, you speak about Krishna every day. So there is a great need to preach to devotees. And Srila Prabhupada said, now we have enough devotees, now let's train them. Let's train them. So that means it's called boiling the milk, making the devotion thicker and stronger. And then these devotees go out and bring new people. But if you only bring new people and don't take care of them, many people have left also. So that's why we started here a mentoring system, and hopefully it will develop, mentoring system where you can have a mentor and you can speak to them about your personal issues also, so that the mentor cares for devotees. This is also preaching. Devotee care is also part of preaching. Because we don't only want to get new people, we want to keep those who have already joined. Yes?
And so I have one more question. In the text 2018 and 19, it said, one who is equal to friends and enemies. we should not fight the enemies. Because how was I not to understand that? So now I can understand that so every single person is a soul, and every single and the person has a relation to Krishna, and the Krishna is the best friend also, yes? And even the demons. But should we not fight them?
You always have good questions. Congratulations. So it means to see everybody equally as a spirit soul, but we don't treat them equally. We don't treat them equally. Only Mahabhagavata treats everybody equally, but we are not Mahabhagavata and we are a preaching mission. We have to be practical. We have to act on the Madhyama level, where we make difference between demons and devotees. So you do whatever is needful with demons. I mean, if they attack or something, you have to protect. Once there is this paramilitary forces in Serbia called Chetniks. And they came to the Sunday feast in the Belgrade temple and started shooting. Fortunately, they didn't kill anybody, but they injured a few devotees. It was during the wartime in the 90s, and then we started having security in front of the temple. One ninja devotee. Yeah. And then they didn't come anymore. Also, there is a video of this. I don't know if you can find it on YouTube, but I saw the video. Chandan Swami made a huge harinam in Belgrade. Practically at the end of the wartime, it was still very risky to do that. And there were these Chetniks in the main street, main walking street. It's a very, very center of Belgrade, the main walking street. Huge harinam, huge harinam. That was very bold to do, very risky also. So devotees were going in ordinary clothes on the side, and if some of these guys wanted to approach harinam, they would stop him. They were not in uniform, they were not in devotional clothes, but devotees on harinam, most of them were in devotional clothes. So they hate us. I was once in harinam in Belgrade with one devotee, two of us only, at the end of that street. And then one guy came, showed us like this. Because they use knives also. But we continued singing. He didn't come back for the next hour or something, with something. So they threatened us and they threatened us. So they attacked us. Yeah, they attacked. Oh, also I was once in harinam, and we were walking during one of the big streets in Belgrade, and the guy came with a tear gas and sprayed tear gas in the devotee next to me in his eyes. Fortunately, he didn't injure his eyes. He just had some itching sensation, not itching, but burning sensation for some time. But he didn't lose his sight. But it was heavy stuff. I mean, to spray the tear gas in the eyes. So with such people you have to protect yourself, you take precautions. Also in Mayapur there was thieves coming, then devotees started having these guards with weapons to protect the city and the devotees. Okay, any other question about these verses?
You wanted to read them.
Uh-huh. You have a question?
I have a question.
Yes?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
My question is how to understand for myself when I'm preaching in the street, distributing the books, if I do it conscious, really, so not full, I'm not such in this way, but conscious, yes, certainly I'm trying to do it conscious, I'm trying to know what I'm saying, the words, and I'm thinking in advance what I'm saying next. Yeah, that's it, yeah. That is just a small piece, but on the whole, the people are leaving the families conscious and coming to Krishna consciousness to give their lives and souls, really, as our Maharajas. And not only Maharajas, there are the devotees as well too, not on this highest position, but they are so much devoted. How to do it conscious, how to do it conscious using self-control, and to know that I'm doing it really for Krishna, I'm doing really this for my spiritual master, for the devotees, for the preaching itself, because Srila Prabhupada said preaching to the essence, how to do it, how to understand it, how it's possible, to do it conscious.
Why should you do it conscious? You can do
How
it.
to do it conscious?
You can do it Krishna conscious. Why should you do it
Yeah.
conscious?
Krishna conscious, for example, I'm not on such a high level to do absolutely Krishna conscious, but I know because I don't have so much of self-control, I'm not so devoted, I know I am not so, how to say, I'm nervous sometimes, I'm feared sometimes, it's not just like because, but nevertheless, in spite of all these difficulties, to do it conscious, to go on how to do it. Yes, we are preaching for
Well, you know
so
better
many
than me.
years. I don't know, absolutely not.
You go out every day.
Yes, I go, but now, after this pause, after this stop, I'm looking at all these things from different point of view. And I really don't know if I do it Krishna conscious, trying to do it Krishna conscious, or I do it. It is not pleasureful, no, for example, to distribute more books as much as possible. You don't feel any pleasure, you feel this, I have fulfilled my duty, that's all. Nothing of this ecstasy, blah, 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 I don't believe in this. Yes, but nevertheless, if it's conscious or not, so what I'm thinking now about, yes, because I don't know, I see the other devotees who are preaching deeply. You, for example, I can't compare me, certainly. Or the other devotees I know, Satpuj Prabhu, there are many devotees who are really giving everything all the time, the families, all the comforts, all these happy things. So, how to do it? How to know? How to feel? I really know that I'm doing it for Krishna. I really know that I'm doing it for my, for my Guru Maharaj things. I think I know more.
I think you should ask your Guru Maharaj how to do it.
Why not you?
Because I didn't do much in book distribution. Was not very successful. I was translating books.
It's not only about book distribution. It's about preaching on the whole. Preaching, to preach consciously. Because preaching is the essence. Yes, and that's why how to do it really essential.
I preach unconsciously.
Unconsciously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I preach, I try to preach whatever I know and spontaneously. I don't preach very consciously. So I think the more you do it, the more you get better at it, and the more you feel satisfied. And Krishna gives you consciousness. Krishna gives you become conscious of everything. You become conscious when devotees are sleeping in your class or not listening. You can be excited about what you say, but nobody else. But if you're excited about what you say, then usually some people get interested. Oh, why is he laughing or something? Why is he so excited? Maybe he said something interesting, but I didn't hear it. Actually, especially during the Bhagavatam class, I heard that Nidra Devi is coming around and trying to make devotees fall asleep. Especially during the Bhagavatam class. So be careful, because Nidra Devi will come. But in this temple, amazing, I didn't notice that devotees sleep in the morning during the class. Usually during my classes, always at least 3-4 persons are sleeping, and very deeply. They become so peaceful. So one goal of preaching is to relax devotees, make devotees so relaxed that they, almost fall asleep. And sometimes I make a sign to the devotee who sits near the devotee who is sleeping to maybe elbow him a little bit. And then sometimes they get really disturbed. They say, I'm listening. But everybody sees that they are sleeping. So you have heard of Nidra Yoga. Nidra Yoga is, also it has to do with yoga.
You mean what?
What?
I am in Nidra Yoga or something, what you mean?
Nidra Yoga.
Me?
No, not you, Nidra
Maya.
Yoga.
In Maya, certainly full in Maya, I know. That's why I was asking this question to you.
How to do any service in Krishna conscious way, you say, my dear Lord, I'm doing this for you, and then focus on the service. Don't try to think, because you have to focus on how to do something. But also, when you are doing book distribution, you can meditate on the super soul in people's heart, and pray to the super soul in your heart, and ask this super soul to inspire other super soul, to inspire them to buy the book. So you engage Krishna in Sankirtan. So, yeah, I mean, devotees, I heard many stories of Sankirtan. They say, I go out to meet Krishna, I don't go out to meet people. Because Krishna is people's heart. And I'm looking how he will inspire them. So, it's a little bit manipulative. Okay, it's not only that 2 of us are here, there is 4 of us. 2 souls and 2 super souls. So, you want to say something?
Yeah, I would like to say about Nidra Devi.
Yes, please.
And
This is very important for preaching.
Mainly, the potency of the Bhagavatam is taking away the stress of the people. So when people are trying to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, take away the stress so that people going into the sleep.
Yes, they become relaxed. But preaching takes out the stress and makes you feel free, a little bit free. Yes?
Yeah, and I have a small comment too, and this is associated with your question you have asked for a couple of days, I don't know, why the Hollywood and the movies are so popular in the society, yeah? And I was thinking about that, and I have understood that actually the movies, yeah, they're so simple that you have not to use your brain, yeah? So you are looking at it, you're watching it, you're laughing, yeah, there is some drama, there is something happening, boom, boom, bam, and so, yeah? But when you are reading the books from Srila Prabhupada or something like that, it's necessary that you focus on that what you are reading. It takes more energy from the body and from your brain to read about that. And that's why maybe fell asleep because they cannot concentrate. So
yeah. I mean, for some devotees it's difficult to read because they fall asleep, and one of the reasons is that they have too much food to digest. And this food actually forces you to want to sleep. But if you read aloud, then it's more difficult to fall asleep. If you read aloud, so it's good to read, or read together with somebody, then you feel ashamed to fall asleep. So there is many ways you can force yourself to read. But the best way is to get interested in what Prabhupada said. And also to get interested in what Prabhupada said that will help you. That will help you. Something personal for you. Yeah. Okay, so for one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies with this sacred conversation of ours, worship me by his intelligence. There is no purport to this verse. So if you preach, pure devotional service is guaranteed. Krishna is very pleased when you actually preach. And one way you can practice is you read something and then you think about it and you say something about it or think about it. So when you can say aloud, or if you read with another devotee, you can say, oh, I think here it reminds me of this, or it reminds me of that, and or maybe you don't understand something. But one thing that we can discuss about any verse is what is the practical application. So, okay, we can discuss for a few minutes how to practically apply these two verses. What do you think? For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. So here something to do is to explain this to devotees. Yes?
I always see beautiful examples around me who do it very naturally, like for example Vinimadeva Prabhu or Ananteshwara Prabhu. They have this kind of flow that they like usually talk everything related to Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, some kind of story. They like have woven in their jokes, in their, like, especially the jokes actually. When we joke around, like, by their association, our conversation, our whole atmosphere in the ashram, I feel like gets more, like the jokes get on a more, spiritual level. Yeah.
That's amazing. So in this temple there is no prajalpa.
No, that's not, no, but what I'm saying. Maybe I have an example. I didn't have an example right now, but.
That's nice to hear. So preaching can be done anywhere, everywhere, during prasadam, during sleep, during walking. And always you look for an opportunity. Also you can look through the eyes of the Gita around, wherever you are going. You can see how modes of nature are working. You can see people as spirit souls, you can see people as eternal servants of Krishna. So, what else this verse reminds you of?
I have one feeling that from this one, basically, I don't have very good communication skills. And I cannot send the message properly. So, when I heard that preaching is the essence or something, I always not encourage myself that is not your level. Just clean utensils or clean the floor. That is better. I think always like that. I really, from my heart, I don't have any interest to preach to someone. First of all, preach to yourself and then see.
But do you preach?
I will never try to preach anyone.
But you still preach.
How?
He does.
I don't know, he says you do. These kind of preachers are the best.
I can't just preach you.
Yeah, those who are preaching by example and who are preaching when necessary. Just, I mean, you know Jayananda Prabhu, who organized first Ratha Yatra?
In Prabhupada Leelamrita, I read about
Yes,
him. but-
yeah. So he was not lecture giver. He goes under the cart and fixes the car, drives the car, but he always preaches. He was very dear to Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said he went back to Godhead. So you can preach like this also. You don't have to sit always here or there. You can preach in any situation. But it's very important to preach to the mind, to our own mind, especially when it starts to speculate or lose faith or criticize. We can say, my dear mind, please cooperate. My dear mind, please be Krishna conscious. Why are you in Maya? Why are you so Mayavadi? Yes?
That's maybe a question. That's a question I have about preaching to my own mind, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that you should preach to your mind in the morning with the shoe and in the evening with the broom. And we also said here, you said in the class that sometimes we need to be nice to our mind as well. We cannot always be like that.
So what is right? Whatever works.
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works. You can use the tough approach, you can use the soft approach, but whatever works.
Okay.
Because acharyas do both. They are very strict with mind, and also it is said that one should be very careful with the mind, because the mind is like an animal that the hunter has been caught. Hunter has caught the animal, and if it's not tied properly, it can run away anytime. So similarly, our mind can run away anytime to illusion. So one has to be careful. And another technique that is recommended is neglect. Neglect the mind's proposals for nonsense.
So this image with the animal, you can make friends with the animal, and then this animal will like to do what you want. So, but on the other hand, you can also neglect and kind of tie away. I'm not sure.
Now this neglect and animal are different examples, different techniques. Neglect is when the mind is proposing nonsense or criticizing, you neglect the mind. But otherwise you have to be careful, very vigilant, very careful, that the mind doesn't run away to some nonsense. So like this. And we can actually, if we know this science of the mind from the Shastra, people will be very interested, because this is actually psychology. This psychology, how to deal with the mind, how to develop high quality inner dialogue, how you talk to yourself, how you think, how you feel, how to deal with your desires. People are doing many things nowadays, and many research and much research and things like that. They are trying to understand connection between the brain and the heart. They say, think with your heart. So Bhagavad Gita has all these things today, actually, that are popular things. They have all these things. So we have to somehow try to present this from the Bhagavad Gita. Like the mind can be a friend and it can be an enemy. This is also in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. 6.5 and 6.6. Okay, any other comment?
Yeah, what is about the course? So about about the excuses.
So we have 2 enthusiasts now. That's fantastic. I will give it only for 2 of you if nobody else wants to come. But I send the link also.
Yes.
Send the link. You can start listening, but we can also do it here in the temple room, and I have to look at the course and like make some notes with the points. Or maybe some of you can take out the points and present them here. For example, you can take one. There is 9. You can take one. You can take one and make with the main points. Bring them here. Then I can speak about this. And this way you will save me time. And then I can do things that I'm doing with online coaching, and I'm also working on some books like about Avanti Pramana, and I put all my articles to one new blog, WordPress blog, which is a much better blog than Google blog, and there is maybe 300 articles, so, but I have to put them. So and these are all very practical articles. You can use them for your spiritual development. Short, but some are 1.5 page, but most of them are half page or something short. So if you can take this out from the first and second, and we can have one session, then third and fourth, fifth and sixth, if you take out the main points, then it will help me, and then I can speak about it. So in this way you can participate. You can participate in the seminar and contribute. But we can do seminar on excuses. Maybe we can start next week. So, but I have something else I wanted to do to discuss when you can misinterpretation. So I have one quote from one letter where you can easily misinterpret what Prabhupada said, and torture yourself, torture others forever, for years, just because there is a misunderstanding. And I also ask you to think about things that can be easily misinterpreted, and that are misinterpreted. You have seen, and maybe you are misinterpreting, so then we can discuss this. So maybe we can do this tomorrow, this thing. And I asked one devotee and he came up with 20 misconceptions in Bhakti Yoga. 20 things that we misunderstand or misinterpret or misapply, apply wrongly. So, Krishna, I will look for it, but I think I lost it. It was a PowerPoint, I think, or even it was one text file. I can contact him and see, maybe. I don't think he has it. It was a wonderful list. He came up in 10 minutes with an amazing list of things that are actually misconceptions. This is very important to discuss. I'll try to find it. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.